All right, so when we're talking about our tee work and setting up off the plate the right distance, that's going to be totally up to you, up to your coaches, up to your parents, whoever helping you train or wherever travel ball program, high school program, whatever program you're in, everybody's going to have their way of doing things. Totally makes sense. One thing I found is that not every kid is exactly the same. You want your entire team to be up on the batter's box line. Well, that might not work for some 13-year-old that's overdeveloped at 6'4", and his arms are just barely hanging on because he hasn't gotten the coordination yet. Another thing is, well, all right, let's get him off the plate so we feel comfortable. Well, little Timmy that's a little underdeveloped, he doesn't have the reach for the outside part of the plate. For me, I want all hitters, all my hitters at least, to be as well-rounded and able to cover all parts of the plate as comfortably as possible. So we're going to talk about setting up off the plate or how far we should be off of it. So something that a lot of coaches will teach you is, all right, well, let's get a certain distance off the batter's box line. Well, that's really great for the first inning, and it's really great if every single batter box is exactly the same, especially on the turf fields. But as you develop and you play at other fields, not every batter's box is exactly the same. God bless them, but some of the park ranger guys aren't exactly the best at putting down lines. Sometimes they're off by an inch or two from the plate. Something else that does change is the thickness of the line. If it's a chalk field, by the third, fourth inning, especially if there's been some action, that inside batter's box line is going to be pretty much well gone. The only thing that doesn't change in the game is the length of your bat. I found that consistency is key for having consistent results. If we're going to set up on or off the plate one way or another, let's make it as consistent as possible until we have to change, depending on the pitcher or the umpire's strike zone. So what I found for my guys is that we get into our stance and we take our top hand off and we reach down. If we can touch the inside corner of that plate relatively easy without having to bend over too much or bend our knees too much or really reach. If we're in our stance and we can just touch the inside corner, we're good to go. Here's why. As you close your eyes, you take your natural swing and you turn. My barrel is now in the middle of the plate. Now, if I'm thinking, all right, close my eyes, outside, 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 and I'm reacting outside, and I throw my hands, my hips, and my barrel to the outside part of the plate, now as you can see, my barrel's over the outside corner. Reset. If I'm thinking inside, 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 and I keep my hands tight as I turn, now my barrel's over the inside corner. This is a great foundation or just a go-to spot for any young hitter that's trying to develop their space, where they stand, their stance off the plate. Use your bat. It never fails. It never adjusts. It never changes. It's the same length year to year until you upgrade your bat. Use the plate as your reference point. Get into your comfortable stance. Reach down to touch the inside corner. Cool. I'm about where I like to be. Now, umpire's given us 6 inches off the plate. The outside strike zone is the lefty's batter's box. Cool. We'll adjust from there. Well, umpire's calling him inside today, or this guy's really dotting up the inside corner. Pretty rare, but it does happen. All right, we'll take our normal stance. We'll just scooch off a smidgen, and I can still comfortably cover that outside corner of the plate. Another question I get asked a lot from my hitters and coaches that come in is, where do I have my guys stand in the box as far as front of the box, back of the box? We've just talked about how far off the plate should they be. Again, that's relatively adjustable to each player, their swing type, but a consistent spot is stand in there with your left hand on the bottom, or your right hand if you're a left-hand batter, and touch the inside corner of the plate, bring it up. Now you know your barrel's over the middle, and we can adjust in and out. Now, as far as where do we stand front to back, that's really going to, again, depend on the hitter. If you've got that really antsy hitter that just can't seem to stay back, you might need to scooch him up to the front of the box. Just be aware that his front foot cannot exceed that front batter's box line. Any decent umpire sees that and he makes contact, he'll be out. Another thing is, well, you got this really long, slow swing. You know, this kid's got a really tough time getting the bat going. Hey, scooch him back. Something I found is that I teach my guys is to have your front foot land in the middle of the plate. That way they have the same spot every time. Again, not every batter's box is exactly the same. Not every field is prepped exactly the same. But one thing that doesn't move is that plate. Use that plate as your go-to. That way you can adjust front to back depending on the pitcher, depending on the batter. So in general, I like to have my guys start their back foot even with right about the back point of the plate, so that by the time they take that little step forward, their foot's in relatively in the middle of the plate. That way they've got a little room to scooch back if the guy's bringing some heat or their swing's a little long and slow that day. Cool. Scooch it back, bury that back foot right on the back of the batter's box line, gives a little more time to hit it. Somebody's up there, you know, some left-hand thumber that's just throwing a little bit of slow stuff. He's really got you slow, slower, and slowest. Cool. We'll scoot up in the box. Make sure that by the time we take that step, we're not exceeding that front batter's box line, getting ourselves out for free. It's all relative to you, though. It's got to be dependent on you. You're the one swinging the bat. You're the one making that decision on when to swing. You do you. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you out in your upcoming season and gets you a little bit better this year. Please subscribe and like this video. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Look forward to seeing you again.